And then I'm about to click broadcast.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to discuss why the physical workplace still matters and share insights from Gensler's research work from home survey, as well as what the workplace might look like in the future and what employees say they need to feel safe upon returning to work. I'm Morgan Williams. I'm an architect and interior designer with Gensler in San Antonio. I focus mostly on workplace design, and I'm the technology practice area leader for our office.
And hi, everyone. I am Caroline Lemoine. Super excited to be here. I am a senior interior designer in our Austin office, and I focus primarily on workplace technology interiors. I am also the technology practice area leader for South Central, which includes San Antonio, where Morgan sits, Austin, Houston, and Dallas. And as we mentioned, we both work at Gensler. We are a multidisciplinary firm and are very passionate about the design of spaces to solve challenges and understanding and creating great human experience. So we design everything from city planning to master planning to stadiums and everything in between. Workplace design is what our firm was built on about 50 years ago. And today there are over 2 million people living, working, and playing in our spaces every day. So that makes us extremely passionate to design for and understand people's behavior. And being involved in so many different types of work and projects all over the world presents us with a lot of aggregate data and information that we can use and study to predict potential design trends and changes in the workplace. So today we're going to talk a little bit about our firm's research and what that means to us and to you.
So having a lot of hard data and numbers is great, but Gensler really went about trying to quantify the human experience and how buildings and the built environment affect that experience. So they created the Gensler Research Institute about 15 years ago, and they study a lot of different areas. One of them is workplace, and they publish those reports annually based on the different findings. Our workplace study is published each year, and it focuses on what employees say they want to see in the workplace. An employee that is supported and functioning well is a more innovative employee, and it's better for business in general. When we started 2008, the emphasis was on individual performance. Employees wanted a space that helped them concentrate, that really enabled them to do their work well. 5 years later, that shift became evident in autonomy and choice, wanting options on where they worked. As time went on, a flattened hierarchy became more important. Being able to interface with upper management on a regular basis was rated high. And most recently, it's really been a focus on company culture and connectivity, feeling like you belong in your office and you understand what your company's mission is. And then 2020.
And then what happened?
Yeah.
So before we get going into the meat of the presentation, if there are any questions that come up, feel free to put those in the chat and we will get to those at the end. So we're in 2020, where Morgan left off, and we know that this year has presented some really unique challenges, and we've all been stretched. So everything normal in the workplace has kind of been turned upside down. It's the first time that it's been intentionally uncoupled from the physical office. So the creation of any, structure or framework in our lives, work-life balance, routine, focus, socialization has been left completely up to the individual at an organization. So, if that coffee pot runs dry, we only have ourselves to blame.
There's been a lot that's been really great about it, right? Like stretchy pants. I don't ever want to wear hard pants again. The ability to work out in the middle of the day in your living room if you want to, more time with your family, and we skip the dreaded commute. But there's been a lot of challenges as well. Children, pets, they vie for our attention and focus, and the mute button. The mute button. So, but also company culture is waning a little bit, and company leadership is more than ready to return to the office.
So as we start to imagine a return to normal workplace away from our beloved stretchy pants, there's some questions that we've all been asking ourselves. Will we return to a normal workplace? Will we see our coworkers again, our bosses? What will make me feel safe enough to return to work? And what will the new physical workplace look like? And what is the new purpose of that? So as we examine 2020 and beyond, we're using what we've learned from working from home to rethink the future of the physical workspace. And today we're going to talk a good bit about how workplace experience is taking center stage and how experience can mean something different from person to person. So as we start to live in a more hybrid work model, it will start to blend the best of working from home and the physical workplace, and how we can start to support employees more holistically. So to help us navigate this shift, Gensler partnered with Gallup to conduct a work from home experience survey. So this measured space, effectiveness, workplace experience, and employee insights post COVID-19. And we're using this as a tool to identify how the distributed workforce functions and what they're valuing most. So we surveyed 2,300 plus US workers across different roles, generations, and industries, and made sure to consult a really broad audience outside of our own firm. And what we found is that most coworkers or workers do want to return to the workplace, but with some critical changes.
Right. So 12% reported wanting to work from home 5 days a week, but that leaves 88% of employees who report they still want a physical office space to return to. And 44% of the employees that we surveyed said that they want to go back to a full 5 days a week working model. But that leaves a lot of people in between with some flexibility. And it's not a surprise because we are missing human contact. This virtual thing isn't really fully hacking it. 74% say that they just miss the people. And I think most of us have experienced some struggle with collaboration, even though we have a lot of platforms that enable that. It is just more difficult to do it in this medium. Top reasons employees want to come to the office when they do return, especially if it's flexible, is they want to come in for scheduled meetings with colleagues, socializing, and just that impromptu casual collision that happens on a regular basis that really makes you enjoy going to work and get to know your coworkers.
So let's take a little bit of a look at the generational effects of working from home. So we found that our younger respondents are more likely to report that they're struggling. Without the benefits of desk neighbors that maybe we took for granted previously, it's really hard to read, the vibe of the workplace and of our coworkers. Younger people are also more likely to report feeling more stressed and like they're getting less work done. So without visibility to our peers and to our leaders, younger generations are reporting that even potential career development might feel more out of reach. So therefore, millennial and Gen Z workers are finding it really hard to strike a good work-life balance and avoid distractions as opposed to our older Gen X and baby boomers.
But whether they reported wanting to return 5 days a week or 5 times a year, the importance on certain things was the same across the board. Everyone reported needing or wanting less density, a little bit more space. And cleanliness protocols were of the highest priority. They want to know that it's being well disinfected and taken care of. And they want more support for the remote working as well. So in order to feel safe returning to the office, employees we surveyed reported the importance in this order. And I thought it was really interesting that number one was stricter policies against coming in sick. And I think this speaks to the cultural shift that companies and organizations are going to have to wrap their head around. I think we're all a little bit more comfortable with it now because we have been doing it. It has been forced for the last 6 months. Workers working from home. But I know that a lot of people come in sick because they don't feel comfortable being absent, because this concept of absenteeism, if you're not in the office working, then you're not actually working, has been pervasive for a really long time. So that's one shift that the company and organizations are going to have to embrace. And then the opportunity to work from home. That's great.
Yep. So, as we think about life beyond the pandemic, we can think about the workplace model similar to that of a restaurant or a hospitality experience. So why do we go to a restaurant when we could just cook in our own kitchens? I think that, we go there to seek increased service, to interact with a brand that we like, and of course, probably most importantly, to socialize and to see people outside of our own homes.
So what does the future look like? We've touched on it a little bit, but to summarize, it looks like honoring employee preference and focusing on employee well-being, putting what works for them at the forefront of how the company is structured. And it also looks like an emphasis on great workplace experience. So choice and autonomy. That is, it's going to look different for every single person. So, Tom here wants to work in the office 5 days a week, so he'll be there every day. But Amy wants to take care of her child during the summer, so she may work twice a week in the office and work that out. All the way to Greg, who only shows up for the holiday parties. Who are you, Greg?
Come on,
we don't
Greg.
remember you. Yeah. So, but the point is that more than 50% of employees will have some sort of blended schedule. So this is the opportunity to create a new normal. It's an opportunity for companies to lead with compassion and empathy towards their employees, promote equity and diversity, advance sustainability, and embrace new work models.
So what's needed is a connected experience, an ecosystem that weaves people, place, and tech together to give our employees choice, flexibility, and autonomy, while keeping our organizations connected and our communities thriving. So looking a little bit at this diagram of our connected experience ecosystem, if you will, at the outer edges of people, place, and tech. Starting at people, this here, we need to focus on the needs of the individual and solving for work-life balance that supports the preferences of that individual, and giving more time to do meaningful work while at work. Looking at place, as we know, one size does not fit all. So the built environment will need to serve unique needs, different and evolving intents, and targeting connections during a time where we might start to experience more of a hybrid work style from home to the office. And then lastly, technology. We need to think about carefully selecting and deploying technologies that create a seamless and connected experience, while also improving security, sustainability, and healthiness of the space as well. Looking at the kind of inner realm of this ecosystem, thinking about purpose. So this work from home time has created a renewed focus on workplace culture and a strong craving for community. So more than ever, employees are wanting to connect with the values of an organization and plug into the mission of the business collectively. UX or user experience. There are now increased pressures on the workplace to meet our employees' intentions for how they hope to use space when returning to work. In addition, this experience needs to prioritize well-being and a sense of safety. And then lastly, data. So here, thinking about it similarly to a model you might see at a hotel, using some kind of way to measure data and understand how people are navigating spaces and using it to better assess usage and needs and potentially even evolve the space based on user preferences. So this is our connected experience. It's a physical and a digital workplace that equips our people with the tools and support that they need to thrive while amplifying all of those important things that we've been outlining, flexibility, choice, autonomy, work-life balance, even diversity and equity.
Okay, so we know what it means for the touchy-feely, right? But now what does it mean for the actual physical space and the future of real estate? And that still remains to be seen because we're still here in quarantine, just working from home. But based on our research over the years, we understand the things about an office that create community and support culture. So we have an idea about how the office might shift.
So we know that some activities are better done at the workplace. This much is for certain. And that includes nurturing human connections, building social capital, and allowing people to kind of bounce ideas off of one another and collaborate in a more organic way. Whereas right now, if you want to have a conversation with someone at your organization, if you're working from home, you have to schedule it. There's no casual collisions. And then of course, considering our younger generation who seems to be struggling most during this time, the workplace provides more opportunity for mentorship and learning. So having increased access to leaders or peers that you maybe don't work with directly every day, the workplace provides more ample opportunity to have some connections. And then, of course, thinking back on that kind of hospitality model that we talked about earlier, we need a platform for meetings that will provide, enhanced collaboration. And of course, we need technology to support the creation of those relationships and the connectedness that we need within the office.
So we're going to have to change the approach. Up to this point, it's largely been workstation centric, right? One desk for one employee, which took up most of the footprint, a good half at least. And shift that. Now that Greg doesn't come into the office anymore, we're going to get rid of his workstation and we're going to focus more on a holistic approach that's based off of employee preferences and less on actual capacity. Okay, so diagrammatically, it might look something like this. On the far left, you've got your status quo office, heavy on workstations, heavy on high concentration of desks, with the other functions being more of the support. And there's a couple of options here just shown on the diagrams to the right, where the office becomes more of a collaboration hub. So concentration work takes place largely elsewhere at home or wherever an employee might choose to work. And there's more focus on meeting space because that's what people are there for, and co-creation. So it becomes something that supports the company culture and also enables teamwork. Or the community outpost. Maybe this is just a place that supports the culture and the connectivity of the office, but both repurpose the space that was previously dedicated to one-to-one desking to solve for employee preference and needs and not headcount.
Yep. So as we're starting to wrap up the presentation, before we start any Q&A discussion, what we want to leave you with is that the future is exciting, even though right now it's a little, seems uncertain, but there's a lot of opportunity to seize it and give employees the choice on where to work and experiences that drive transformation that is key to our businesses. So this can be considered, you know, in how we work, in how we support well-being, and how we empower our teams. So thank you all for your time and for tuning in. If there's something that we didn't cover in our presentation and you'd be interested in hearing more from some of our other thought leaders within the firm, head to gensler.com and you can read some of our different articles about design's response to a changing world. So thank you. And then I'm going to stop sharing and we can start to dive into any questions.
Sorry, Greg. Greg, what's Greg's last name? Let me see. He feels personally targeted.
Always ready for a party. Okay, don't see.
Okay, we'll give it a few more minutes. We sped through that pretty quickly.
And a number of coworkers tell me that they think they have the flu while in office pre-COVID.
Seriously, because
Who
you
knows
had
when
to
that
really
started.
well, right, but no, I mean, guilty. It's just been, you know, when you don't show up, Morgan feels sick, you know, like at least twice a month. And you know, she may genuinely feel sick, but I think there's been this perception that it's maybe not real or it was an excuse and she just didn't want to come into the office, she being me. And so you come in and it's always just allergies. You can just write it off as allergies because we live in South Texas. But hopefully we will feel more empowered to really choose when we feel like we're well enough to expose ourselves to other people.
Yep. All right.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. Very nice.
All right. Well, if there's no other
questions,
questions, then you can use the remaining 20 minutes to do whatever you want. All right. Oh, wait, we got one. Do you think there will be a dramatic drop in construction? That was from Greg. Thanks, Greg. Haven't seen you in the office lately, but no, we're hoping not. I mean, okay, so Caroline, I'll let you answer in just a second, but we, you know, construction is heavily tied to the economy. So if people aren't spending money.
We had an internal presentation last week that talked a lot about how much, it was actually in relation to the environmental impacts of buildings and how they're predicting an increased amount of construction, actually more than ever over the next couple of years to, you know, contribute to our environment and global warming. And Gensler was discussing their stance on how we were going to combat that. So we do foresee increased construction, increased building, especially as people are starting to innovate more and more and reconsider their entry into the workplace. What could we reimagine our office spaces being? So we've talked a lot about this as well. And it's funny, as we've kind of gone through this presentation and reviewed multiple times how there's a shift kind of towards this hospitality model and blending the best of home with the best of work. And some of our internal sketches and ideations involve things like, you know, a fitness center that might allow people to buzz in from their home bike and feel like they're a part of the classroom with everyone else, but they're at home. Other ideas that have come up are touchless whiteboards that live in a living room setting at work with more openness, so it has a nicer flow. For those who have offices with increased headcounts, thinking about, kind of like we've seen at grocery stores lately, mapping circulation patterns so that people are continuing in one direction in the public spaces. So I think, we're starting to borrow a lot of our design thinking from other industries, and places are becoming more blended in terms of experience. How would people engage with you to help redesign the office landscape? From Jem.
I am answering that question right now. I'm going to put Caroline and mine's information in the chat, our phone number and our email addresses. But we also can be reached on the website at gensler.com. Let me just enter our info in.
Okay, while you do that, it looks like we have, do you all have any advice for people who don't feel empowered to speak up or feel bad about not being in the office? I don't know if this is referencing speaking up now in this digital setting, or if it's more about when we are in office. I think what's kind of beautiful about this experience and how we are being forced to be at home, I think, for those of us who maybe are more workaholics and like to be physically present at the office and, have a lot of optics into our leaders and our peers, are starting to develop an understanding for others who, can't be in office as much as we are, and are starting to see, the benefits of having that option to go home if we need to go home, so that it's kind of removing the stigma of feeling bad about not being in office in a sense.
Yeah, I'll just second that and say that I think it needs to be a cultural shift on behalf of the employers, that that this is what employees want, this is what they're asking for, and we've proven that we can work from home and that we are working. I think most of us have proven that anyway. And so making it more acceptable, and I'm hoping that a flexible work model where you're automatically, working 2 days a week from home, if that's what you want, will make this an easier conversation to have with less stigma.
Yeah. How are you going to explain to your cats that you have to go back to the office? I think this one's for you, Morgan. I don't have any cats.
I don't know. I'm going to go to family counseling because I raised some COVID kittens during this time, which was really spending more time with my family. And I don't know, they think I live and breathe and exist here just like they do.
Yeah,
and I never go outside.
We're definitely turning a corner from working from home to living at work a little bit. And I think our animals are all feeling that. And my dog in particular seems confused as to why I'm always around, but then stressed if I leave her side. So can Gensler track when people are on their computers when not in office? I'm not sure I know the answer to that. Do you, Morgan?
I'd say it's pretty, okay, maybe. What I do know about is that we have an instant messenger. We use Skype to instant message. And so it has an automatic setting that lets people know if you're in a meeting, which is connected to Outlook, or if you can set it to busy. If you're not in a meeting and you're just working, it'll usually show up as available. So that's kind of one way.
I think I read this question as like a big brother sense, which we're not being watched, but we can see, who's available, who's in a meeting. Right now I'm on Do Not Disturb so that no one chats me while I'm on this presentation. But yeah, that's a great feature. We've also started to use other platforms during this time, like Teams, which I honestly had not used prior to working from home. And it allows you, I think, even more flexibility in some ways to kind of see who's available to chat, who you need to tap. It kind of almost feels like a little bit like a break room digitally for me. So yeah. What are you most excited about how the workplace will transform. Personally, I'm most excited about, so when we transitioned to working from home, I was surprised in how effective I felt at doing my job. As time went on, I really started to feel some of the gaps that I was missing from being in office. So I think I'm most excited about this idea of blending the best of both worlds. I'm excited that, you know, if I wanted to go maybe take a yoga class on lunch break, I could do that without feeling, you know, oh, I'm out of office maybe 10 minutes too long during my lunch break. Like, I feel a little like we're going to start to have more opportunity to balance our work lives and still be just as productive, if not more productive. What about you, Morgan?
I would second that. I'm able to go to a 7:30 a.m. workout class instead of the 6 a.m. because I now don't have to come home, shower, and put on a full face and then drive to work. And that extra hour of sleep has made a lot of difference because sometimes I'm just not tired in the evening, you know, to get to sleep on time. But another thing for me that I'm most excited about is I really struggle with concentration and in an open office environment. You know, I'm not even going to say my coworkers were too loud. It's just like there's so much stimulation that staying on task has always been a challenge. And this room can get so quiet, the one I'm in right now. And I love having the ability to just get up, focus, and stay on task, but then also be able to go into the office because with colors and materials, virtual has really been a struggle. Who knows what it looks like by the time my camera picks up the color and it gets delivered onto your screen.
Yeah.
We don't. What are you most excited about how the workplace will transform? What, me eating chips? Yeah, yes. But I told you that. No. Yes, Jim, no one likes your chips, but we do want you to eat.
Of course. Any others? All right,
Okay.
we're at 2:35. There's 25 minutes left in the hour that we can all gain back and get ready for the next hour of sessions. So thank you all for attending. We appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun. So if you guys have any questions or want to know more about Gensler or about our experiences, Morgan had dropped our contact information into the chat, phone numbers and emails. So pick your poison, and we can chat more as needed. So thanks everyone.
Thanks, Greg. See you at the Christmas party in
Thanks, Greg.
2021.
Sorry you felt attacked. All right.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thanks.